I am at the West Thumb Geyser Basin in Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming. Perhaps the most unique of the Yellowstone Geyser Basins because it's right along the banks of the Yellowstone Lake. This is the 1925 ranger station at the start of the trail. The name West Thumb derives from the 1870 Washburn expedition. They camped nearby here and thought that the lake projected a thumb from this angle. That is seismograph pool. Lakeside Spring is in fact along the lakeside. Because of the lake in the background, I do think this is the most scenic geyser basin, but it is the least active in terms of geothermal activity. There's some fish. I have to say, Yellowstone Lake is one of the cleanest bodies of water I've ever seen. Lakeshore Geyser is currently covered by the waters of Yellowstone Lake, and even though the geyser is very dormant, it could still go off underwater. This is the fishing cone named by the early explorers because they used to stand on it and fish. Then they would parboil the fish in the vent of the geyser. It hasn't erupted since the 1930s. And this is the Big Cone Geyser. That is very cool. Lots of steam coming off the Black Pool, which has very dark waters, and thus a very low temperature. This is the Abyss Pool, the deepest known pool in Yellowstone National Park. This one, like Morning Glory, has also been victim to tourists throwing stuff into the abyss, which has lowered its temperature. The West Thumb paint pots here are at a more elevated level. They used to be way cooler when the tourists stopped here to board a boat to the Lake Hotel, but since the 1970s, groundwater has flooded them and they're less colorful and more frothy looking. Now I'm going to be driving along the western shore of Yellowstone Lake to Fishing Bridge. I'm now traversing the old fishing bridge, which was built in 1937. It was a very popular spot for early tourists to fish for cutthroat trout, but fishing was banned in 1973 in order to preserve their spawning grounds. Now I'm at the Fishing Bridge Visitor Center and Trailside Museum. The building is a National Historic Landmark and was completed in 1931. It is a beautiful rustic building. Also, that spelling of museum on the sign really annoys me. It's currently a museum of Yellowstone avians, still with very old-fashioned displays and taxidermy. These are examples of Yellowstone Lake shorebirds. There's some hawks, along with an osprey, great horned owl, and great gray owl. This is Swainson's hawk. These guys are apparently very difficult to identify because they come in so many colors. There's a marsh hawk, now known as the northern harrier, and a short-eared owl. Several types of woodpeckers along with the belted kingfisher. That's the common raven of death. The decapitated head of the American white pelican. There's a yellowthroat and other yellow Yellowstone birds, like the western tanager, a big seagull and baby seagulls. That's a whistling swan. They visit Yellowstone on spring and fall migration flights. And here is the trumpeter swan, common at Yellowstone but still one of the world's rarest birds. Some mountain bluebirds. Some blackbirds. There are several taxidermy ducks. That's the great blue heron. Right next to the antler chandelier is a symbol of America, the bald eagle, suspended in flight. Here's one up close. In 2018, the park monitored 32 bald eagle territories and 56 of them were successful in fledgling young. There are some river otters. That is the largest known fish ever caught here at Yellowstone National Park, a 37-pound lake trout. Like all national park visitor centers, there has to be a topographical map. I will say this is the most well-preserved of the old-fashioned museum visitor centers in Yellowstone now, and I hope it stays this way. Now outside, you can walk right out onto an overlook of Yellowstone Lake. And there is the old fishing bridge. I caught a ranger bear safety presentation. They did have a bear and bison fur to pet, so that's cool. And they tell you how to possibly avoid getting mauled by a bear. Here's one of the old yellow buses over here at Fishing Bridge fueling up. These started in 1925, although this isn't one of the original cars. And finally, I'm gonna stop inside the historic Fishing Bridge General Store. This one was built in 1931 and has some really neat architecture. It's still a gift shop, and they also have a retro diner. Alright, so that was the West Thumb, Geyser Basin, and Fishing Bridge. If you like this video, I have a bunch of other videos here at Yellowstone National Park and at all sorts of places across the country, so please go check out those videos, and thanks for watching.